Throughout the following videos, I'm going to be creating an entire web application from scratch using Angular. It's an expense tracker where you can add new entries, enter the corresponding description, price, a date, and you can of course edit entries and delete entries. We're using Angular plus some other tools that about which I'm gonna talk in a second. Since this is a client-side course, we're not covering the server side of things. So you can create the server side however you want, with whichever tools you normally use, whether it's Node.js, PHP, Ruby on Rails, and other technologies. But we are covering how to connect to a server side. We are covering how to push this information to the server. So when you create a new entry, we're doing an AJAX call to a server, and you could of course implement your own logic there. For the user interface, we're using Bootstrap. It's not a requirement of this course to have used Bootstrap in the past. You don't need to know anything about it. We're just going to include it. And the elements that we'll use, such as this list or the type of buttons, are all very simple code snippets. They're basically just HTML with certain classes. Since we're including the Bootstrap CSS file, that will give it the nice look that you see on the app. Bootstrap requires jQuery, so we're also including jQuery, but we're not using it for anything else. The other library that I've decided to include in this course, it's an utility library that I use very often called _.js. It's a very lightweight tool belt. It's a set of basically helper functions that make it easier to work with collections, with objects, with arrays. So that's our application, and now let's take a closer look at the user interface.